So Shedeur Sanders, to me, college and pro, the traits are fine. He's mobile enough. He's accurate. I think moving and stationary is accurate. His size is fine. He's not top heavy like Will Levis, who feels all chest and arms. And he's not spindly like a Matt Ryan or a Teddy Bridgewater. He's 6'2", 218, very solid. He's not a weight room guy, but it's just he's comfortable playing. He runs backwards sometimes. That you got to stop that because he's not athletic enough to escape. My question's always been, his traits are okay. So he's got to be great film study, EQ, IQ, pre-snap, galvanizing teammates. And then I see the speeding ticket, legendary, the New York Giants stuff, which has been now reported multiple times, and I had it validated again last week. It was a disaster. But my takeaway watching him was, he's comfortable. It looks a little like college. He's an accurate thrower, doesn't have a huge arm, moves okay. And when he's got to make big throws in the red zone, he's pretty damn good at it. That's my take.
Now, to be fair, Colin still has his concerns. He says Shedeur's a little too unserious for his taste, thinks his judgment needs work, but in the same breath, he admits this is exactly why fans get hyped, because the kid plays like he belongs. And that matters, because comfort in the pocket is not something you can fake. John adds that even if Stefanski, the Browns' head coach, likes what he sees, coaches are always cautious. Fans ask, why not start him week 1? Coaches answer, he doesn't know the full playbook yet. It's the oldest push-pull in the league. Coaches want readiness, fans want hope. And when you've got a fan base that's been through decades of heartbreak, hope has a louder voice than caution. Cleveland isn't just looking for a quarterback, they're looking for a savior. And saviors don't wait until week 10. John also points out something fascinating, the Tebow parallel. Tebow was overdrafted and couldn't really play at an NFL level. Shedeur? He was underdrafted and actually can play. That's a dangerous combination for a backup QB, because now you've got a celebrity backup. And celebrity backups create pressure. Pressure on coaches. Pressure on starters. Pressure on front offices. Bill Parcells used to say, don't be a celebrity quarterback. But in today's social media-driven NFL, everyone's a celebrity. Caleb Williams, Cam Newton before him. The game has changed. So where does that leave us? For Colin, the Browns' preseason win wasn't just about a box score. It was a statement night. A night where Shedeur Sanders not only looked the part, but in his own way, stole the room. You could feel it. From the moment he stepped under center, the offense just breathed differently. He rolled out left, delivered that layered touchdown throw Middlecoff raved about, and you could almost hear the Browns fans in their living rooms saying, yeah, this feels right. But the story isn't just between the lines. Behind the scenes, Jimmy Haslam is watching. And if there's one thing that makes Haslam tick, it's being in the middle of the conversation. He knows what happens if Cleveland starts slow. He knows the radio hosts will pound the table. He knows the fan chants will come. And history tells us, Haslam listens. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the NFL isn't a bad season. It's a rookie the fans believe in. Colin even hints that this might be Stefanski's internal play. Move Shedeur to QB2 now. Trade Kenny Pickett while his value's still a heartbeat above 0, and stockpile picks for next year. But Middlecoff isn't convinced a trade is happening. He says, no way. Not after that debut. Haslam won't allow it. Even if Shedeur doesn't turn out to be elite, the Browns aren't going to give up on the story. Because sometimes, the story is what sells tickets when the win column doesn't. And this is where the conversation starts to sound a little like Dallas. Jerry Jones knows how to keep the Cowboys relevant even when they're mediocre. Haslam? He's learning that same playbook. You've got Shedeur Sanders, son of Dion, one of the most polarizing, magnetic athletes in American history, and you've got Myles Garrett, potentially a defensive player of the year. Even in a 6-11 season, that's enough to keep Cleveland at the center of NFL talk shows. So here's the real chess match. Do the Browns play it slow, keep Shedeur as the break glass in case of emergency option, letting him build quietly behind the scenes? Or do they give in to the inevitable, ride the hype, and let him take his lumps early, knowing full well that the city might never forgive them if they wait too long? And maybe the bigger question, do you think Shedeur wants to sit? Or is he sitting there every practice thinking, give me the ball, I'm ready? Middlecoff makes one more point worth chewing on, about just how unusual Shedeur's journey already is. NFL teams forgave worse than a few speeding tickets or awkward pre-draft interviews. They've forgiven players with criminal records, locker room meltdowns, even high-profile busts. If you can play, the league will make room for you. The problem for Shedeur wasn't if he could play, it was how much teams thought they knew him. And that, more than his arm strength or size, is what shoved him down to the 5th round. That's what makes this Browns debut so potent.
He is very instinctive and a natural football player. And I think two things we don't talk about enough with quarterbacks. One is always toughness. I mean, you got to be tough. So the best players were always tough. Brady hung his hat on, jumping right back up after he got hit. Ben Johnson's been all over Caleb about body language when you get hit. Shedeur's tough, so he brings that to the table. And then there's just a natural feel to his game. I mean, he's a pretty accurate player. And his two, definitely the first touchdown, I think, is when he was rolling left. Like, that's an instinctive layered throw. But he is not alone. He is with a large group of players. There are a ton of guys that were drafted on the 3rd day, all over the league, that guess what, are going to go on to be really good players. Some will be Hall of Famers, Richard Sherman, Jason Kelsey, in this class that will be household names. And then there are a ton of guys drafted in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round who are not going to be any good, who within a couple, 2, 3, 4 years will not be on their team and will be considered busts and not good draft picks. It's the NFL. Now, Shedeur is the headliner, but again, his own team took another quarterback 2 rounds above him. And the reason Shedeur was there in the 5th, and you and I have talked about it, you mentioned the Giants. So the bad teams, the interactions were weird. He wouldn't talk with the good teams. So the good teams that all have quarterbacks, obviously, they would have been interested if they had good interaction. They're like, he won't talk to, we have no interaction. Every player beside the lock.
And just like that, before the echo of the opening whistle has even faded, the name Shedeur Sanders is on everyone's lips. Not because he's a rookie QB quietly learning in the shadows, but because in one single preseason night, he did something that made Cleveland lean forward in their seats. Colin Cowherd called it comfortable. John Middlecoff called it instinctive. And yet, the NFL has a way of taking moments like this and stretching them into movements. See, Shedeur's debut wasn't just about throws and footwork. It was about rewriting a narrative that had been following him since the draft. The narrative that said, this kid's too unserious. This kid's not ready. This kid wouldn't even talk to teams in the pre-draft process. But Cleveland saw something. And now, the fans are starting to believe. But here's where it gets controversial. Colin broke it down into 2 halves. 50% of being an NFL quarterback? Traits. Size, movement, accuracy, toughness. The other 50? Things you can't see from the stands. Film study, pre-snap reads, leadership, the ability to galvanize a locker room. And Shedeur? Colin says the traits are fine. Not elite. Not Big Ben or Cam Newton level. But fine. The question is, can he be great at the invisible stuff? Because let's be honest, the pre-draft headlines weren't pretty. Speeding tickets. That now infamous New York Giants meeting that reportedly went sideways. The kind of whispers that make front offices fidget in their seats. And yet, in his first Browns snaps, Shedeur looked like the game was moving at his pace, not the other way around. He didn't flinch in the red zone. He didn't have those nervous rookie feet. He just played. But tell me this, what's more important to you as a fan? Seeing elite traits on paper, or seeing a QB who actually delivers when it counts? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is just heating up. And then John Middlecoff jumps in with something fans need to hear. He says, yes, the pre-draft stuff was real. But it's real for a lot of players. Guys drop. Guys get labeled. And then, they go out and make plays and all that baggage disappears. John sees Shedeur as part of a much larger NFL truth. There are countless third-day picks who become stars, even Hall of Famers. Richard Sherman, Jason Kelsey, players who nobody bet on in the early rounds. At the same time, there are plenty of first and second round QBs who flame out in 2 years, leaving fans shaking their heads. Still, there's one thing about Shedeur that made his fall even sharper. He wasn't talking to everyone. Some good teams never got the chance to know him. And good teams always need backup QBs. So why wasn't he talking? Was it bad advice from the people around him? A deliberate choice? Or just a young QB misplaying the politics of the draft? Either way, John's point is simple. Shedeur's drop to the 5th round wasn't just about talent evaluation, it was about perception. And now, he's flipping that perception on its head. If this is what Shedeur looks like in his first preseason snaps, what's he going to look like when the games actually count? Now, let's not skip over the real stakes here. Cleveland's QB room right now is a powder keg. Kenny Pickett? The fans don't want him starting. Joe Flacco? 40 years old. Dylan Gabriel? Already injured. Colin even says it outright. If the Browns start 0-4, Shedeur will play. Not might. Because Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, is not your typical hands-off billionaire. He listens to sports talk radio. He feels the pulse of the fan base. This is the same man who once admitted he drafted Johnny Manziel because of a conversation with, in his words, a homeless guy. Yeah, you think he's going to ignore thousands of Browns fans chanting, "Tour," in week 3? So here's the prediction from Colin. Shedeur moves up to QB2, Kenny Pickett gets traded for a late-round pick, Dylan Gabriel slots in behind him. And the moment the Browns season starts sliding, Sanders gets the call. And here's where I've got to ask you, do you want to see him start this year, or would you rather see him sit, learn, and come back in 2026 with a full playbook in his head? And for Browns fans, what could be, might be the most dangerous and thrilling phrase in football. Because if Shedeur keeps this up, the chants will get louder, the pressure will mount, and at some point, the Browns will have to make a choice. So here's mine, give the kid the ball. Let him make mistakes. Let him win ugly. Let him prove, one way or another, that he belongs. Because after that debut, it's not just about potential anymore. It's about momentum. And momentum, in this league, can change everything. This has been NFL Daily Dose, your home for the stories that shake the league, the controversies that split fan bases, and the moments that make NFL history. If you believe in Shedeur Sanders, if you think Cleveland might just have found its future, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and join the conversation. Because here, we don't just watch the NFL, we live it.